All right. We are back. We are back. Um, I really didn't want to do this video today. Um, I'm really, I'm really disappointed. You guys see the title of this live. It just, I knew the fight wasn't gonna. I knew it wasn't gonna happen. But you still get disappointed. I think in the very beginning of this year, maybe around the time Spence beat Ugas, I said that I had highly doubted that the fight was going to go down this year. Okay. Um, this one hurts because it's just, these two are so good. I'm a big fan of both fighters. Obviously I'm a bigger fan of Bud, but this was the one that we really needed. And I think that it's the one that they need too for their legacy. You know, we got so much to cover. First off, just subscribe to the channel if you are new. Smash that like button. We got so much to discuss here. I didn't even plan on going live. I kind of just was just gonna record a video and just upload it. But I'm kind of interested into what you guys have to say too in the comments about Bud and Spence not going down, and Bud is going to fight David Avanesian. I'm sorry. I'm tired of this, man. I'm tired of this. I'm tired of this. I'm tired of the fights not happening, but I'm tired of the bias. If you guys were here, I made a video yesterday, late last night. And I woke up this morning and I looked at my phone, and one of the first comments that I read was Bud fighting David Avanesian. It was a comment left on my video. And I'm like, what is this dude talking about? I was just talking about this fight and how we need to just be patient and wait into the final results. And I went on Twitter and I just saw a whole bunch of tweets talking about Bud signing a deal to fight David Avanesian for north of 8 figures. And I was like, what the hell is going on? How did we get here? I know how we got here, and I'm going to break it down. I'm definitely going to talk about everything because we got to put everything in full circle. There's a lot of content that I didn't make on this fight leading up to this fight because I didn't care for. I am. I know you guys want to know the news and you want to get the updates, but I don't want to feed you guys bullshit. I think a lot of channels are good with it, and it's good because it earns them a lot of views and stuff. But I just hate the gossip of boxing. It just annoys me, and I'm not gonna lie. As much as I still want to see the fight, I don't believe it's going to happen, you know? So, look, before I just keep ranting, I just want to tell you guys, because some of you guys may not know, I know a lot of you supporters actually come straight to YouTube to get all your information. I know a lot of people don't go to the mainstream boxing websites, or don't use social media like that. Some of you use YouTube. So the news is of today, as of this morning, Terence Crawford has signed to fight David Avanesian, okay, for 8 figures on BLK Prime, which is a streaming service. Now, as far as BLK Prime, I don't want to speak too much on it because I don't know enough about the streaming service. Okay, I did a quick, because I didn't know, I've never heard of it. But they do have boxing events on the streaming platform. Okay, they're not major fights, but they do stream boxing matches. Okay, I would like to do a little bit more information, like a lot more research before I speak on the platform because I don't know about them. Okay. I don't know exactly what they do. I don't know who runs it. I don't know what type of boxing matches they've had in the past. I would like to do my research before I go in on that, right? Because, we just had Triller and we had issues with Triller, especially with Teofimo Lopez and his deal that he was going to sign with them for the X amount of money, I think $7 million. So I would like to not speak too much on BLK Prime because I don't know enough about them, right? But they are supposedly paying Bud by far his biggest purse ever in his career, and he was getting paid a good amount of money to fight with Top Rank, but we're talking about at least $10 million, all right, which is a lot of money. And I've based on the reports that we've got, and no, we don't have a true confirmation of what Terence Crawford was going to make fighting Errol Spence because there's no guarantee. This might have been even much more money than Terence Crawford was going to get in fighting Errol Spence, possibly. All right. But yeah, that is the news of the day. All right. And this is for December 10th. Now, David Avanesian has a fight scheduled for late November. Okay. I don't know if he's going to pull out of that fight to take this fight because sometimes that happens with boxing. Sometimes fighters are scheduled to take certain fights, and then when a better opportunity comes, they'll back out of a fight and they'll go into the other fight. I don't know how much of a problem that's going to be because I seriously doubt David Avanesian is going to fight and take both fights because he would be missing out on a career opportunity if he is to lose his fight in November or have some sort of an accident. It just isn't smart. All right. So that's the actual news that we're getting, and it's on way too many websites to just name one. It's all over social media, it's all over boxing media, it's all over the place. All right. But that is what we're getting. Terence Crawford will be fighting David Avanesian. Now, let's go in reverse a little bit because we want to figure out how we got here. Right? What we don't want to do, because I'm already seeing this is the key thing. And this is what I was saying. If you guys were here last night, I was telling you guys, I was just telling y'all this. You got to watch and listen to where you're getting your information. All right? Because of biases, prejudice, insecurities of the source. 90% of the people, and I mean fans, or even sometimes the media, their mind was already made up before this news came out. No matter how this fight was going to get canceled, people's minds were already made up. They didn't care about the details. The details doesn't matter. They're going to find a way to spin it so it fits their narrative, right? We know that. We've been here for the people that's been here around here for a long time, they know. All we can go is based on the reports that we heard that may not be true neither, right? Because we don't really know what's going on in these meetings. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes with the guys with the suits. Terence Crawford and Errol Spence has said very little. Yes, they have exchanged words on social media and such. They have co-signed some of the reports that are being made, but we don't know everything that's going on. This is not a video of me bashing either Crawford or Spence. Yes, I'm pissed off that the fight is not happening, but I do realize that this is probably over business. This is all over business at the end of the day. Regardless, I'm thinking the reason why I say that is because Spence is already with the PBC and he's been there for a long time. He's loyal to the PBC. He's been with Al Heyman, all right? And he's been fighting some of the best fighters that the PBC has to offer all of this time, right? He's been there. He's been there with Showtime. We already know what's up with Errol Spence. Crawford, on the other hand, has made a lot of sacrifices to try to make this fight happen by leaving Top Rank, all right? And that whole lawsuit situation where I don't know where they're at with that, but Crawford has sacrificed what he had going on over there, because over there, as far as the business, he was getting guaranteed purses of a lot of money per fight, or on that side, right? But he left that side. He's done with Top Rank. He didn't go to Matchroom. He didn't go to Queensberry. He didn't go to Golden Boy or whoever. He went straight to the PBC to work this fight out, to get this fight going. I believe that both fighters want the fight. I believe that. I might be wrong. I don't know what these guys are really thinking in their head, or what they believe behind the scenes, or what they're telling people behind the scenes. But I believe that the two fighters actually want the fight. I believe that Bud, as much as I disagreed with Spence in the past and said things like when they had that face off in the back at the boxing event, when they had that face off, there were things that Spence said that I did not like, because he was basically saying, yo, I'm fighting all these guys first before I get you. Now, being that we're a few years later, I believe that he's sticking to his word, or he was. But I also believe that Spence is not in full control of what's going on. And I'll give you some examples. What is Floyd Mayweather talking about? Why is Floyd Mayweather, why does he keep coming out? Why did he come out in the beginning of the year basically saying that this fight ain't going down, so I say so? Why did he come out recently again, call Mike Hobbinger out, basically saying, like, you're false reporting, you don't know what's going on? Why is he saying things that basically he's involved and he's in control of what is going down? Why is he saying that? Is Floyd just being Floyd, or is he being honest? What kind of business dealings does he have with Al Heyman? If he's a partner like he claims, maybe he does have some say so on how this fight happens. And if he's telling us this fight is not happening, and it didn't happen, maybe that's part of the reason why the fight is not happening. People like to just totally overlook that part. Now, as far as David Avanesian, listen, I have nothing against the guy. I said the same thing. You know how I look at Avanesian? I look at Avanesian just like I look at Robert Helenius. What did I say a few weeks ago when Wilder was fighting Helenius in my breakdown video? I said, you know what? Helenius, I respect him. He's coming off of 2 knockout wins against a guy that Wilder almost fought, right? Because let's be real, Adam Kownacki was a potential opponent for either Wilder or Andy Ruiz. He was, until he got knocked out unexpectedly. No one expected Kownacki to just get slayed like the way he did. We did. But we see Wilder ringside at his fights. He was a potential opponent. But Helenius destroyed him. So he's out of here. So Helenius is now up the bat. And he gets the Wilder fight while Wilder's coming off of 2 knockout loss. I said, you know what? I don't really want to see that fight, because Wilder has proven to me that he is above these level of fighters. Regardless if, Helenius is coming off of 2 of his best wins. Wilder is above this. And that's how I feel about David Avanesian. I know he's coming off of 6 knockout wins, one of them against Josh Kelly, who wasn't proven to me. It was a good win, but Josh Kelly isn't proven. If anything, he's overrated. Even before that fight, I felt that way before that fight. Maybe the 2 fights before that, he didn't look too hot. He didn't look all that good. David Avanesian stopped him. Cool. I saw the Ray Robinson fight. Didn't look too good there neither, right? David Avanesian is a good fighter, though. And is a good fighter if you are just trying to stay busy, but you're an elite level fighter. It's a solid opponent. You're trying to stay busy. I thought David Avanesian was cool for Boots. Virgil Ortiz. I wanted him to fight Conor Ben, right? You know, a guy like Rashidi Ellis, that is where I'm looking at like David Avanesian right now. For those fighters that are undefeated, that are no longer prospects, that's in the contender area, those guys should be stepping up to fight David Avanesian. But for Bud and for Spence, nah. I think those guys they're already proven that they're above those kind of fights. So that's how I feel about the fight. But I understand Bud wants to stay busy. Another thing that we wanna go back. I said Floyd. So I talked about Floyd. Let's go into the Mike Coppinger report that came out in the beginning of the month. The beginning of the month, he's basically said the first news that they agreed on the terms, right? Like Bud agreed on the terms. So he's basically agreeing to get in the short end of the stick, right? So his percentage that he's getting back is lowered. And he also agreed that there's no guaranteed purse. Like there's no number that's being thrown out. What I mean by that is most of these fights, most of the time, there's a guaranteed amount that you're going to make. They didn't do that with Bud. He still agreed, though, according to reports or according to what he said to certain YouTube vloggers or whatever. You know what I'm saying? He agreed to all their terms. Well, he says he agreed to it, but he didn't actually agree to it because there was an issue. And in the beginning of the month, maybe around September 30th, October 1st, there were reports that came out by Mike Coppinger saying he wants transparency. Yes, he agreed to making less than Crawford. I'm sorry, he agreed to making less than Spence, right? He agreed to the fact that there was no guaranteed. He was going to make the money off the revenue, you know, off the gate, off the pay-per-view buys or whatever. That's what he agreed to. But he wanted transparency. He wanted to know how we generated this money. Like, how we getting, I don't want to just get screwed. I'll agree to your terms, but I don't want to get jerked at the end. I understand that. You know Tim Witherspoon? Look up the Tim Witherspoon story with Don King. That's a boxer that got jerked by Don King. Signed a contract basically saying that, look, you know, I don't remember what the amount of money was, but there was a specific fight where he agreed to making $1 million for his purse, right? He signed a contract, probably didn't have a lawyer or whatever, all right? And Don King, who ended up hiring, who was his promoter, ended up hiring like a relative to be his manager. And they both jerked him like, he had $1 million purse and ended up making like 50K or something like that. Something crazy. You don't want to get jerked. You don't want to agree to something. You still want transparency. You want to know what's going on. Like exactly how are we going to make this money? How is it going to work? Like I agree to the percentages, but I want to know exactly what's going on. You know why? Because he's an experienced boxer. He's been around a long enough time. He's not in a stage in his career where he gets jerked. Most of these fighters, that's why I gave Devin Haney a lot of credit recently because he was trying to stay independent. See, a lot of the fighters don't get to that point until they're in their 30s. You know what I'm saying? So Terence Crawford, based on reports, was looking for that honesty, that tell me what's going on behind the scenes. This is when it comes to PBC and Al Haymon. That was the holdup, according to them. All right. So this is the way we can all look at it. I think now that we know for a fact that Terence Bud Crawford is moving on, when we got that news that day, the fight was over. Because if you look at that report, you will see that there's a quote in there that said, Terence Crawford said, whether it's Spence or somebody else, I'm going to be fighting by the end of this year. He's not going to go a full year without fighting. Basically, he has not fought in 2022. His last fight was in 2021 against Sean Porter in November. He's gone this whole year He took off the whole year. He waited for Spence to fight the Cuban fighter. I can't think of his name right now. My bad. You guys tell me in the comments. All right. He waited for that fight to go down and went down. Spence is now 3-belt unified. Spence got nothing left to do. All right. They already approved the step aside. All right. For Stanionis. Ugas. Thank you. All right. So that's already a go. Now they've been negotiating since June. And now in October, we're finding out that they couldn't agree to the terms. But on the 30th of that report, at that point, Bud was probably already looking for that next opponent. You know why? Because we're getting close to the end of the year. We got guys like Floyd that's saying, yo, this fight is not happening right now. When it came to Al Heyman, for whatever reason, that contract, something was funny with the contract, and Bud did not like the contract. You know what I'm saying? For whatever reason, he didn't like the contract. Now, in the beginning of this video, I basically told you guys to be careful for false reporting. All right. Because at the end of the day, even the people that's giving us this information, we don't know how much of it is true. All right. But that's all we have. And based on what we had, we knew that the contract was not a good contract for Bud. All right. And it didn't work out. And I don't blame Bud. I don't blame Spence. I blame Al Heyman and the PBC for not making it work. All right. Whatever the scenario is, you have Terence Crawford. We have Errol Spence. This is one of the most highest demanded fights that you could possibly make. You make it work for the two of them. They both earned it. You made other fights. You know, it wasn't a problem with getting Canelo to come over there and making $40 million. He's not a PBC fighter. You got him to come over there. You got him to get in there with Plant. Plant made a lot of money as well. You made it work for them. I don't understand how you can have a guy like Terence Crawford go over there and you can't work it out. All right. For both of them. Is Terence Crawford bad for business? Possibly. That could be another possibility. You know, I don't know. The same people that were pro Crawford during the Bob Arum racist situation, they approved that, but they're not approving this because now it's like, look, he did bad business with Bob. Now he's doing bad business with Al. Be careful, you listening to information. I'm just saying, be careful. I woke up this morning and I was seeing some tweets, and I see that there's some people out there making content that's running with that narrative. Okay. But when the narrative was about Bob Arum being a racist and that Bud pretty much exposed him of being a racist, they approved of it. But now they're criticizing him today. Be careful. I don't know, and none of us really do know. But what I will say is that it didn't look like it was going to happen. I was hopeful, but it's not going to happen. And I don't believe it happens. I don't believe it happens because I think whatever the bad business was here, I think it's going to be bad later. You know, yesterday's news was that PBC sent a revised version of that contract back to Bud. The reason why I said it was over by the 1st of this month is because Bud was already shopping for another opponent during this time. We just got the news today. So when I heard yesterday that Bud never sent back the revised version of that contract from PBC, I thought he probably got something else brewing right now. Because if you're making him wait at this point, after they revise the contract, I mean, listen, again, this is just a report. We don't know what's going on. Maybe Bud looked at that revised contract, or maybe his lawyers did, and they said, nah, this is still a bad contract based on these points. Maybe he looked at it and said, you know what, fine. You know what, I'm going to take this other option that I have over here at BLK. Prime is offering to pay me upwards of $10 million because I need to get in the ring and I need to fight, which I agree with him. I just said this guy, I just said it to you guys yesterday. I said, yo, at the end of the day, as much of some of these fights, I said this about Fury and Chisora, a lot of these fights I don't want, but the last thing I ever want for a fighter to do is sit home and not stay active and wait for that big fight to come. I said this about Demetrius Andrade years ago when he got stripped at 154 for being inactive. I said the same about Guillermo Rigondeaux years ago when he was stripped at 122 for being inactive because Frampton didn't want to fight him. All right, or whatever other fighters that was there. What I think is going to happen with Errol Spence, and I'm going to get to the comments, man. I just want to get everything off while I'm at it. Errol holds 3 titles. I know Stanionis is one of the mandatories. I believe Boots is one, and I believe Virgil Ortiz is one as well. All right, maybe they're not all 3 mandatories right now, but I know that Ortiz is a number 1 somewhere, and this is a number 1, and I know Stanionis is currently a mandatory. Spence made a tweet either today or yesterday, maybe probably yesterday now, basically talking about the issues and the trouble and the struggle of keeping and making weight at 147. All right. I don't believe that Spence wants to stay at the division. You know, I don't believe that Spence fights Boots and all of these guys at 147. You know, I think Spence was going to stay at the division in order to fight Bud. I don't think he stays there to fight any of these other guys. I think he might stay right now, maybe to fight a Keith or something like that. But I don't believe that these two are going to fight at 147 for Undisputed. I think that's over. I don't think the fight with Bud and Spence is completely over. I think there's still a possibility that that fight happens. But at welterweight, as a undisputed fight, that's over to me, in my opinion. Spence is going to move up, whether he has one more fight at welterweight or not. He's going to move up, and I think if Bud is ever going to fight Spence, it will be at 154. Okay, I think right now Bud is going to take this David Avanesian fight or take a fight, and I think Spence is going to take another fight as well at 147. I don't know if he wants to hold on to the belt and give it another shot later. He might fight Stanionis, who is his mandatory, and then fight Bud after, or he might drop one of the belts, take the Thurman fight because it's probably a bigger fight, a better selling fight on pay-per-view, and do that. If not, he'll go to 154 and just leave it alone, leave the whole welterweight division. Those are the 3 options, in my opinion. I know people in the comments and online is saying, Boots, you better fight Boots. Yeah, he's not fighting Ennis next. I don't believe that fight happens. I'll be extremely surprised if that fight happens. I don't think that fight happens. I think it's going to be either Thurman for a pay-per-view, Stanionis for the mandatory, or he's going to fight someone at 154. Those are my 3 predictions as far as what Spence is going to do. All right. I think Bud stays at 147, and he stays there until the Spence fight is an option, a realistic one. All right. Same with Virgil Ortiz. I don't think that fight happens. I think that fight happens. I think the reason why I think the Virgil Ortiz fight happens is only because it's a big fight in Texas. They can fill the stadium with that. I think they can do Dallas with that. I just don't think it happens right now, but it could happen. It could happen. You know, Spence and Ortiz can definitely be a stadium type of fight in Texas. You know, Ortiz is going to bring his Mexican fan base, just like Mikey did. And Spence, we already know the Spence fan base. You know what I'm saying? He's going to bring the black fan base, So that, and just, it's a good fight. Always a good fight, you know? But yeah, this is disappointing news, and I really don't know what else to say. I think I think this is the way that it all plays out, you know? All right, so let me just go over some of the comments, you guys. I know you guys are leaving a lot of comments. Let me see what you guys are saying on here. What's up, Charles? Would I rather see Thurman or Ortiz? I would rather see Ortiz. I would rather see Ortiz because Ortiz has just been more active. I think he's currently better right now. I didn't make a top 10 welterweight list. And I have Ortiz and Ennis above Keith Thurman right now and Ugas. I would like Keith Thurman to fight Ugas, and I would like Ortiz and Ennis to fight each other. But if Errol or Bud fights one, I would like to see them fight the young, hungry guy first. But the Thurman fight is still cool. I still like the Thurman fight. I would prefer Ortiz right now, because I think Thurman, as good as he still is, he still looked very good against Mario Barrios. He's on a decline, where Ortiz, I think, is improving with every fight. And I personally think if Ortiz were to fight Thurman right now, I would give it to Ortiz. I think Ortiz wins the fight. Boots versus Ortiz. I think Boots beats Ortiz. Nobody walked through Thurman yet, but Thurman hasn't, been that active lately. He just fought Mario Barrios. And before that, he lost to Manny Pacquiao at 40. So I think if he fought a younger Pacquiao, I think Pacquiao would have definitely, well, not definitely, but he would have dominated him more, Gio says, just don't overage these guys like Pac Floyd fight, please. Then I won't care anymore. Yeah, I'm starting not to care now, though. I'm definitely starting not to care. Hawker Mustang says, I will probably fight Punch Quote before Crawford and Spence fight. What, do you guys got beef or something? That's crazy. Dre says, nonetheless, he's still ranked in the top 10, though. Not a bad choice for Bud. I've been over the Spence Bud stuff. It's just way too messy. Yeah. Yeah, like I said about the top, David Avanesian is probably in the top 10 towards the end. He is coming off of 6 knockout wins, but not against top tier welterweight. So yes, he did lose to the Mean Machine. He lost to Eggy Kavalauskas, okay, who Bud stopped. So there you go. David is good. He is good. I have no problems with him, man. He is a good fighter, but like I said before, Bud at this level has proven that, yeah, he could beat guys like that. Like, he would really need to come in at his worst in order to lose. He would need to come into this fight not training, not being prepared, and that's just not him. It's not him. If it was Adrian Broner, I'd probably say I think David Avanesian is gonna beat him, because I know Broner he's not active enough, and He's not a gym rat. You know, he only works out and gets in shape when he got a fight coming up. All right. Smooth Will says, peace, Boxing Wave. Always a pleasure. Much peace and prosperity. Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm really sad. I'm really disappointed. And listen, if you guys are just joining us, and please let's get these likes up, man. Let's get to 100 likes. You know, I know I said a lot in this video. I'm just disappointed, and I'm not only am I disappointed, but it's the business, man. And I hate the narratives that's being pushed. I mean, I was just saying this last night, man. It's the business, man. It's the business, man. It's not even Spence's fault. At the end of the day, he's available. Bud is available. You know what I'm saying? Spence said, yo, I could have fought somebody in November. Bud could have definitely fought this year. You know what I'm saying? And he will fight this year. But, yo, at the end of the day, it's not the fighters. You know? This contract, based on the report, sounds awful. You know, and as much as I want to see these fights, I don't want these guys to get screwed. You know, I don't want nobody to get screwed. You know, make your money. When I see the kind of money that they throw around for other fighters that are not part of the PBC, and then serve Bud with this bullshit, it just makes me be like, yo, bro, what are we doing, bro? What's up, Boxing Gems? Boxing Gym says, I was done with it. I'm done with it, Wave. Tired of waiting on nothing. I'm glad something signed for real. Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that Bud is getting back in the ring. You know, but it's whatever, man. It's whatever, man. I don't care no more, man. Seriously. You know, it is what it is. Yeah, but I see a comment. He said, we can just blame the biz. We can just blame the biz, but look at Devin Haney. That boy made it happen. He made it happen off the strength that the Ukrainian war went down. You think he would have got that opportunity? He wasn't getting that opportunity because Lomachenko was going to get the opportunity. Lomachenko was going to get that. He was going to get it. Not Devin Haney. Something else altered the way that fight was going to go. It was going to be Lomachenko and George Kambosos. There was some friction between Devin Haney and Kambosos when it came to negotiations. But once everything was done and Loma was out, they basically settled for Devin Haney because they weren't looking to fight him first. You know? So, yeah, I get what you're saying, but that situation is a different situation. That's why I don't like that people are trying to, like, stop bashing the fighters here, because you got to look at what Bud had to sacrifice just for us to get this far. He agreed to a lot of things that a lot of other fighters wouldn't have agreed with. You know what I'm saying? Some of the fans that are talking bad about Bud right now said that Wilder shouldn't have taken 100 million. This is what I'm trying to say. Like, you got to look at, like, the inconsistencies here. It don't make no sense. Like, this is what I'm trying to say. Like, yo, listen to who's reporting. You know, once people show, like, their biases or their prejudice or their insecurities, you can't really, like, you can't take them serious when it comes to certain boxing topics. You know, I want the fight, but I don't want the guy to get jerked on a contract. You know? Anyway, I don't know. I really don't have nothing else to say about it. You know, Bud's gonna do what he has to do. I think Spence is gonna give us another good fight. You know, he has a lot of options because he's already with the PBC, and you know, it's gonna work out for him. I think it's gonna work out for Spence. You know, I said this with Bud. Bud don't have a lot of options because when it comes to welterweight and junior middleweight, all those guys are PBC. Because he was calling out Jamel Charlo. He basically said, yo, I want to fight Spence and fight Jamel Charlo after. Well, you ain't getting the Jamel Charlo fight if you're not signing with PBC. Like, you're not getting that fight either. And even all the guys that Jamel beat is with the PBC. Fondora's PBC. Jamel didn't beat him yet, but he's just, Castano, Jamel, Lubin, you know what I'm saying? Like Jason Rosario, all these guys over there on the PBC at 154 too. You're not gonna get no fights there. You better hope like Josh Taylor moves up, or I mean, look, I don't know. The issue is, so why not sign with the PBC? Because it's about the business. He was getting $4 million a fight when he was with Top Rank. So you think he's gonna go into his toughest fight getting jerked on a contract? He's not gonna do it. He's not gonna do it. That's what I'm saying. Like, we don't know what's going on. We don't know what's going on. I know one thing. Floyd was saying that the fight wasn't going to happen. And look what happened. The man said it wasn't going to happen. Why is Floyd even involved in this talk? Why is he even involved? Why? Because he probably not bullshitting. He's probably a partner with Al Heyman, and he probably has say so on how these fights go. I believe him now. At this point, I believe him because he been told us. He told us early this year. How do you know that didn't influence Bud in knowing that the fight wasn't going to happen? Errol was saying one thing. I haven't heard it. I haven't heard anything. Floyd has never been involved in any of my fights. I've never gotten a check for Floyd or anything like that. But why is Floyd going out his way calling fights? And if he's right, maybe he does have some kind of influence on how these fights go. I don't know, but listen. If I'm negotiating with a fighter and a guy like him is publicly saying that the fight is not happening right now, and Floyd don't even have a problem. Floyd loves Terence Crawford. He's cooler with Bud than he is with Spence. He's not even cool with Spence. He's cool with Bud. And he's saying, yo, the fight is not going down right now. That's another thing, when it comes to signing. Yeah, you just said, I'm not even going to try to say your name. El Negro Bimbone. Okay, El Negro. He's saying signing with the PBC doesn't guarantee that you get fights. Look at Benavidez. That's true too. I've said this before. Signing to anywhere don't guarantee you fight. I mean, look at Andre. He was with Matchroom and the Zone. He couldn't get Triple G. He couldn't get Canelo. He couldn't get Saunders. He couldn't get Mandia. He couldn't get none of that. He couldn't get nobody. So, this ain't even a PBC bashing video. The reason why I'm bringing up PBC, because they were responsible to make this fight happen. And they failed. And to me, this is, I know there's bigger fights that could be made, but this is like, if not the most demanded fight, this is one of the most demanded fights that you can make. At the end of the day, we really don't know nothing, man. We only stuck with what the reports are telling us. And that's just really about it, man. Everybody hit that like button, man. Listen, in the comments, what's a realistic fight for Bud? That's another thing I was thinking about. What's a realistic fight for Bud right now? We know he's going to fight David Avanesian. Only reason why I'm concerned about the BLK Prime is broadcasting, presentation, commentary, stuff like that. If the money is going to really deliver, is it going to be there? I don't know anything about the company. Again, I would like to do some research on the company, and I will, because I don't want to say too much. I don't want to say anything bad about them because I don't know about them. But um, I hope everything works out with David Avanesian. Again, he's scheduled to fight someone at the end of November. Hopefully, all of that is straightened out. I would like Bud to fight Ortiz, Taylor if he beats, if he wins the next fight. Ortiz is not PBC, so definitely him. I know Ennis is not PBC technically, but he does fight on undercards of PBC, and he is Showtime. You know what I'm saying? So I like Ennis, Ortiz, Josh Taylor if he moves up. I think those fights are all good. I think those 3 fights are good for the non-PBC fighters, for the non-PBC guys. You know what I'm saying? So we got to see. Yeah, and this is Showtime, but he's not directly Al Heyman. So I don't know how that works. But we got to see. We just got to wait and see. I think Virgil fights. I see Virgil fighting, Spence before fighting, but I would love to see the fight. Because Virgil already called him out. Virgil already said he's interested. So if he is interested, hopefully he fights. Hopefully they can work something out. Kufu says, I doubt the Bud Avanesian fight has been made. Seems too quick after all these Spence negotiation, but we'll see. I think that was already in play. When you say, I told Al, if it's not going to be Spence, I'm fighting someone by the end of this year. So when we heard that the November date fell apart, he already had this brewing. I think it's just getting announced today, but I don't think it just happened based off the news we just got. You know what I'm saying? What's up, Ace? So we just got to wait and see. We got to wait and see. All right. Philly Zoe said, can I get some non-politically correct feedback? Because this is bullshit. What do you want me to just rant and go crazy? I don't know why it failed. What I will say is that I hope at some point we can get some more details on what fell apart. If they're not going to go on and have this fight, I would like to know from Bud himself what exactly was the issue. I would love for him to say that. If he's going to give us an interview at some point, which he should, especially if he has a fight coming up, I would like for someone to sit down with at least one of these podcasts and them ask them what exactly was the problem with the contract. Not what we've heard, unless it's true. If Mike Coppinger said it's true, I would like Bud to confirm that. What exactly was the issue with this contract, if he can speak on it? That's what I would like. That's all I want. That's all I want. And again, he says, and Pito, I see a comment. It failed because he says it failed because Spence is trying to make this man sign a slave deal. Bottom line, Spence trying to stall Bud out. Again, is he trying to stall him out, or is Al trying to stall him out? Does Spence want the fight, or does Al not want the fight? You know what I'm saying? Like, Spence, all he got to do is sign. He's at where he needs to be. He already got the bulk of the contract. Bud already agreed to that. He agreed to the guarantee. He agreed to the smaller purse split. He already agreed to that. Spence ain't doing that shit. It's the business part of it. It's the PBC. It gotta be done. You know? This is what I'm saying. For Bud to say, even with Bud, I mean, he knows, clearly knows more than what he know, but he's saying that this fight is not happening because Spence does not want to make the fight as bad as I do. When he said that, right? When he said that in these reports, this is what they quote him saying. When they do an interview with him, I would like to ask, like, if I ever talked to Bud, I would ask him directly, like, yo, why exactly did it not work? What about this contract was the issue? If you're allowed to speak on it, what exactly was the problem? And what makes you feel that Spence himself is ducking you? Was it Spence ducking you, or was it Al just not making the fight happen because he's not confident in his own fighter? What is it exactly? Just what I'm worried about is that Bud doesn't have that many options left because he can't fight on Top Rank no more. You know? Now, it doesn't mean he can't fight on ESPN anymore, but ESPN is pretty much ran by Top Rank. You know? So I don't know how that will work. You know? Michael says, you could respond to my statement. Also, Bud's team had 3 discrepancies. Team Spence accommodated and revised, sent a new contract. Bud went MIA for 2 weeks, but blamed Al. Well, again, because I said this earlier, you might have just jumped in. Yes, they sent a revised version of that contract, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it accommodated all his terms. How do you know that? We don't know that. You know, we don't know if that is exactly what happened. You know, and when was the date set? I don't know. It might have been too late by that time. You got to understand, by the time we get in a report, all of this stuff has already happened. If the man says, Al, I'm fighting by the end of this year, whether it's Spence or him, and they sent him some bullshit, he might have fell back and said, you know what? I'm wasting my time here. It's clear that you guys are trying to jerk me in this contract. How do you know that the contract wasn't so bad that it was at a point where I'm like, you're not trying to accommodate me in any way? I already agreed to the low percentage, and I agreed to not a purse guarantee, which is something that I'm not even used to, and that I shouldn't be agreeing with on my biggest fight. I deserve more than that. If you're trying to jerk me in other ways, and on top of that, this is what I'm saying. How do you know? You don't know. This is what I said. I would like for Bud to speak on some of the details at some point. Most people already got their mind made up on why it's at fault. All I know is that Al is responsible for making this fight happen. And for a guy at Bud's level and his stature, you should be accommodating him. You should be. You should be. Why wouldn't you? There's only one person that made sacrifices here to get over there. Spence did his part in winning those 3 belts on his side of the street. That was his job. Bud's job was get off of Top Rank, because Top Rank, all this time, it was all Bob's fault. It's Bob's fault. The fight's not happening because of Bob. Well, he's not with Bob anymore. You're dealing directly with him and no one else. And it still didn't work out. You know? Truth Speak says Bud is bad business. All right, cool. He might be. You might be right. But you're basing that on what exactly? What exactly? Truth Speak says Bud dealt in bad faith. He could have let them know he was negotiating other fights. Well, if he's telling the public that he is fighting by the end of the year, whether it's Spence or someone else, I think that's a hint that he's probably negotiating other fights too. Because we knew that. So I think if we know that and we found that out a couple of weeks ago, I'm sure that Al knew that probably even before that. I'm just making that assumption. I don't know. Boxing Gym says fans get pieces of info and think they got it all figured out, bro. Believe what you want, just don't say it's fact and no bias. Yeah, I mean, listen, it's always going to be biases because again, at the end of the day, if whatever you felt about Bud before this and whatever you felt about Spence before this news is not going to change your mind about them. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if Bud is great with business. All I'm going is what we've got in reports. I don't know how Bud is with business. You know, I don't know. All right. But what I do know is that I know this game is dirty. You know, and I know when it comes to these promoters, I'm not going to be sitting here defending what they do and what they do behind the scenes because we already know, you know, and we see the business with a lot of other fighters, with all of them, when it comes to Eddie, when it comes to Bob, when it comes to Oscar, when it comes to Frank Warren, when it comes to whoever. Al Haim is not a promoter, but we know when it comes to him, you know, like all of these guys. I don't know how people can go so hard to defend these guys. They go so hard to defend these guys. Like these guys are just some great individuals. I that's the crazy part about it. Everybody's mind was made up before the decision was made on where they were going if there was a problem and the fight didn't go down. Their mind was already made up. Well, you thought I was just going to turn the camera on and just rant and rave about Spence backing and ducking. I wasn't going to do that. Neither was I going to do it for Bud. I wasn't going to do it. Sorry to disappoint you. You know, none of you know enough. Neither do I. The most you can possibly know is what's being reported. That's it. All I know is that the fight didn't happen. What's up, Star Fox? All right. Anyway, I'm gonna leave it at that, man. This is some trash news. I don't think I care about this fight anymore. I don't care. You know, if these guys don't care, why am I gonna care? You know, like, you know, if they're just gonna ruin the sport, at least give time and effort in talking about the guys that are fighting. I think that's the fair thing to do. You know, they at least give them what they deserve. You know, that's what we don't get enough of. At least make content. If you're a content creator, you know, or if you're just a fan of the sport and just love to talk, give props to the guys that are fighting. All right, speak on them more. That's all we can all do as boxing fans. There's plenty of fights that we never got in the history of the sport. Just shine let's get more, shine some more light on the fighters that are actually fighting. You know what I'm saying? And fighting the people that we want to see them fight. You know, that's why I give so much praise to what Carissa and Marshall did last week. You know, seriously, you got to give them mad credit for what they did last week. and it was a dope fight on top of that. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'll say this, and I say that only because I don't know if women's boxing is going to be like that forever. You know, I think there's going to be a point here. There's some ducking that's going on in women's boxing as well, but it's not big enough for, you know, for them to move in a way like the men do right now. You know, I think once it gets big enough, then and there's a lot more money in a pot, then yeah, people are gonna have to move in a way where they got to be very cautious and you know, strategic on how they move and how they fight people and when they fight people. Right. But they didn't get to that stage yet. They at the top of where they, so, I mean, this year, they're at the top as they ever been. But there's still more work to be done. You know, I think this is the big, like, not the beginning, but you guys know what I'm trying to say. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, yo, I'm out of here, yo. Y'all have a good weekend. I'll probably be back like tomorrow or something. I'm sure there'll be more to discuss. I'm definitely gonna look up BLK. Um, if you guys gonna leave comments, leave comments. If you guys know or familiar with BLK Prime, let me know in the comments. I'm definitely gonna do some research on them. You know, I just hope that if Bud really actually takes this fight and this is real news, hopefully they're a legit like broadcaster, you know, a legit streaming service, because I don't know anything about them like that. And I didn't have enough time to do enough research today on them, you know, but I know that they've been doing boxing events, but they're not big events, you know, they're streamed events, and we just got to see, you know, I mean, if they're on the come up, they're going to put the money down and invest into a named fighter so they can bring in more subscribers. So I get that. But they're basically doing what the Zone did in the beginning, you know, what Triller was trying to do, what Rock Nation was doing, you know. I mean, they weren't streaming at the time, but you know, they were still holding fights. So at the end of the day, we just gotta wait and see what BLK is about. And just wait and see what's going on with that. All right. Anyway, I'm out of here for good, man. Smash that like button, please. Subscribe to the channel. I'll see you guys on the next one. All right. Peace.